Once you've mastered the ACSM screening algorithm to determine starting exercise intensity, assessing different aspects of fitness, and creating warm-ups and cool-downs, you're ready to start prescribing exercise. Exercise prescription is about integrating everything you know about exercise and motivation to create routines that will keep your client engaged and help them achieve their goal. But how do you write an exercise routine? Should you prescribe interval training or steady state exercise? Do you know the benefits of each? How do you know which parameters to manipulate? Time, intensity, modality? After watching this video, you will be able to prescribe a cardiovascular exercise routine. You can use your client's current fitness level, goals, likes, and dislikes to create an enjoyable routine that builds self-efficacy. Part of being a fitness professional is inspiring your client to continue exercising, which you can do through informed decision-making. First, we will discuss exercise-related variables you can manipulate in an exercise program. Next, we will determine how to prescribe steady-state training routines. Finally, we will determine how to prescribe interval training routines. FIT-VP stands for Frequency, Intensity, Time, Type, Volume, Progression. For the purposes of this class, we will focus on the ITT part. Intensity refers to difficulty of exercise. The intensity of exercise you prescribe will be determined by the ACSM screening algorithm. You can prescribe intensity using target heart rate range or by using the Borg rating of perceived exertion or RPE. The Borg RPE is a self-rating that ranges from 6 to 20. An effort of 6 is equivalent to sitting at rest. An effort of 20 is absolute maximum effort. Use the Borg RPE to prescribe the effort you want your client to be working at. Effort on individual pieces of equipment can be manipulated through changing speed, grade, and resistance. To increase the intensity on a treadmill, you can increase speed and grade. To increase intensity on the bike, you can increase speed and resistance. When increasing the intensity of any exercise, consider what would make it harder. The next parameter, time, is simple. It refers to the length of the exercise session. The final parameter to consider here is type. Type refers to the modality you will use. You can select traditional cardio equipment like the treadmill, elliptical, bike, or whatever you have access to. You can prescribe outdoor activity like walking, jogging, cycling, jumping rope, or again, whatever you have access to. You can prescribe body weight or resistance training exercises like burpees, squat jumps, kettlebell swings, or whatever you have access to. You should consider your client's likes and dislikes when selecting the exercise type. Now that we've discussed exercise-related variables, we can talk about how you use those variables to prescribe different types of exercise. The first type of exercise you can prescribe is steady state. Steady state exercise is cardiovascular exercise that maintains a consistent or near consistent intensity for the duration of the routine. For beginners or clients who are overweight, an appropriate intensity would be 50 to 60% of heart rate max. For moderately trained clients or clients who meet the minimum physical activity guidelines, an appropriate intensity would be about 65 to 75% of heart rate max. For mainly fit clients or clients who exceed the physical activity guidelines, an appropriate intensity would be 80 to 90% heart rate max. For well-trained or elite athletes, an appropriate intensity would be 85% of heart rate max or greater. To assess whether or not you have prescribed the correct effort, you can perform the talk test. If your client is working but is still able to maintain a conversation normally, then the intensity is good. If your client is struggling to speak or breathe, the intensity is too hard. It's important to remember that it may take your client a while to get used to being uncomfortable, and beginners may improve quickly in the first few weeks of training. Clients seeking to lose weight should spend a significant amount of time performing steady-state exercise, up to 60 minutes per session. Athletes seeking to improve cardiovascular endurance should train for a duration that is sport-specific. The second type of exercise you can prescribe is interval training. Interval training involves alternating periods of higher intensity exercise with periods of lower intensity exercise, known as active recovery or rest. You can prescribe either high intensity interval training HIIT or moderate intensity interval training MIT. You will use the ACSM screening algorithm to choose between HIIT and MIT. To prescribe HIIT, you must prescribe work intervals at maximal or near maximal intensity. You can prescribe work at 90% of heart rate max or greater, or at an RPE of 18 and above. Because the intensity is so high, the work periods can only be maintained for a short period of time. You can aim for 20 to 45 seconds. To prescribe MIT, you should prescribe work intervals that are challenging but submaximal. You can prescribe work ranging from 60 to about 85% of heart rate max, or at an RPE of ranging from 12 to 17. Since the intensity is more manageable, the work interval can be longer, but can also follow similar patterns to HIIT. The amount and intensity of rest for both HIIT and MIT will depend on the amount and type of work and the client's fitness level. When prescribing HIIT, you can begin by experimenting with longer periods of rest to build self-efficacy. When prescribing MIT, you can begin with shorter bouts of work on the low end of intensity, interspersed with periods of low-intensity active recovery to build self-efficacy. While you're learning to prescribe intervals, you can practice using Tabata or EMOM frameworks until you become more skilled. Tabata style entails 20 seconds of work followed by 10 seconds of rest. EMOM style entails doing 20 to 30 seconds of work followed by 30 to 40 seconds of rest every minute on the minute of a running clock. Clients seeking to change their body composition, become leaner, or improve their metabolic health should spend time training HIIT or MIT. These clients should aim to spend 20 minutes per session, but may need to begin with a shorter duration exercise. When programming individual exercise routines, it is important to consider the intensity, time, and type components of the FIT-VP principle. The intensity, time, and type of steady-state exercise will depend on your client's fitness level. Use the ACSM screening algorithm to choose between prescribing HIIT and MIT. When prescribing interval training, consider the intensity, time, and type of both the work and the recovery or rest intervals. Prescribing intervals can be complicated, so keep it simple to start. You can always make your workouts more complicated as you practice and learn more. Always keep your client's goals and preferences in mind when prescribing. For more information about exercise prescription, please refer to Chapter 15 in ACSM's Resources for the Personal Trainer, 5th edition, and to resources in Canvas.